right, Neal, let's kick this off. Really appreciate you coming on the show today. Another 3-6 veteran. Had Mike on before and have you on now. You guys both host the Tales from the Corps podcast and then working on the Shaker app, which is cool. Both infantrymen, 3-6 alumni, and really appreciate you coming on, dude.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. It's awesome. It's always an honor to come on and be able to share stories if it might help some other people, man.
Yeah, straight 0311. So the rifleman, you know.
Yeah.
I know every Marine is a rifleman, but you are the rifleman.
The rifleman, yeah.
The rifle. What do 0311s feel? I mean, I know how they feel about it, but let people know how 0311s feel about that. Like every Marine is a rifleman.
I mean, I take pride in being a part of that fraternity and that lineage. That we do emphasize shooting and shooting straight, right?
For sure.
But it is funny the word a versus the word the. Like the rifleman. It's
yeah.
There is a difference. You live that life. You can shoot, sure. Every Marine can shoot. Everybody knows that. But some of us do live in the dirt, and if we have to, we'll eat bugs and all that good shit.
Yeah, that's like saying I don't know. Every Marine is a S1 clerk because we've all done some paperwork before.
Right. Every Marine a janitor.
Yeah, every Marine a janitor for sure. That's actually true. Every enlisted Marine, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I mean, when you joined, did you want to be a rifleman? Is that what you came in for, or did you just say infantry? I don't care.
Yeah. So, I guess I could start with my earliest memories or my earliest introduction to like military life. It's my dad. My dad he was a career Navy man. He was a sailor, and he was. I didn't know it at the time, but he was a CT. He was crypto. So he did the Morse code and everything back then, and he would just go off to work in his uniform and not thinking anything. I mean, my earliest memory was when I was like maybe 4 years old, and I'd see him go off to work, and he'd be gone all day, and he'd come home, and it was playtime, man. It was time to kick it with Dad for a little while, and he never mentioned what he did, but later on found out that he did Morse code stuff, and he talked to me a little bit about the military as I got older. I would always catch him watching like Saving Private Ryan in the living room, and I'd always plop down next to him and watch it with him. And I always remember thinking to myself, man, that's a pretty noble and honorable undertaking, for the selfless sacrifice that's made by those guys, specifically the World War II guys, as watching that movie. And I always thought it was cool, it was honorable, and I knew my dad was in the military as well, but I still wasn't there yet, like I really want to join the military. But he talked to me a little bit about his great debauches and all that, and all the fun he had while he was hitting the ports and all that good stuff, man. And I just remember saying, man, I don't know, Dad, I don't know if it's for me. And he goes, well, how do you know if it's not for you if you've never even tried? It's like, it's a good point, it's a great point. So fast forward, I graduate high school. I was on that 5-year program. I wasn't the best student, so I went an extra year. So I always did everything a little bit late. So I'm 19, 20 years old, and I'm working this job as a dishwasher and making like bread and not money, actual bread. Just doing that, just the odd jobs within a restaurant, overnight kind of stuff as well. I did that for like 4 years, man. And then, I remember one of my buddies that worked there with me. He, his dad was a career Marine, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna join the Marine Corps, man. Like, it's kind of in my blood, And I was like, "Okay, cool." And he joins. Maybe it was about 11 months before I actually signed up, and it was something that finally it came around. I was like, you know what, man? There's a war going on. Iraq was going on. I'm 23 years old. I'm like, man, this thing's gonna pass me by, and I feel like I have to do something, And that's when I said, screw it. Yeah, screw it. I'm going to go down to the recruiter's office, and there's all these buildings. There's this one long building, and it obviously has like, multiple rooms, and they're all the branches, this Air Force, Army, Navy, da, 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 da. And they all got these signs, these billboards outside their doors, guaranteeing this bonus or that bonus. You'll see this and that, kind of loud, And then way down at the end on the corner, it's just a red sticker on the door and a pull-up bar. And I'm like, I said, yeah, that's where I'm gonna go look. I'm gonna go check this out down here. And I expected, yes, Marines, and I went in there. Of course, the recruiter's in there. He's like, oh yeah, no, what can I do for you? I said, I want to go infantry, and because I want to be in the fight. I know there's a war going on, and I want to go as soon as possible. And that's just what I want to do. And he's looking down. He's kind of like doing paperwork as I'm telling him this, and he stops and he looks up and he goes, "Are you sure?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm sure. You can't talk me out of this. You're not supposed to do that, right?" But yes, I'm sure. I'm sure. And get through the whole thing, the whole process. He's talking to me about, I guess he was wanting to just put it out there. I don't know if he had to, but he just kind of put it out there, like other jobs, potential, jobs and stuff like that I might be able to look into. But he even laid out the name tape looking things that has like challenge, travel, and
the tiles.
Yeah. So I didn't even bother really to put anything in order. I'm just like, I know where I want to go. I know what I want to do, and I want to start it as soon as possible, as soon as I can get out of here. And
it's funny. I was talking to Mike about this as well. How people have this misconception that the recruiters are trying to trick people into joining the infantry and going off and fighting a war.
Yeah.
And almost everybody I've talked to that's an infantryman, are like, yeah, my recruiter tried to talk me out of it. They're like, are you sure you want to do infantry? And I'm like, it's like people have a misconception about that. I don't know, maybe there's some. I mean, the infantry you have to volunteer for. Like, I don't know how you could get screwed into joining the infantry. I mean, did you meet anyone that felt like they weren't supposed to be in the infantry when they got there?
No. I think the only guys who felt like they were like, damn it, why did I do this? Were the guys that they said they went open contract, and they kind of got just thrown in there. But
so I don't even think that's a thing, because I went open contract and I was trying to get an infantry contract out of that, and they told me that open contract, and this may or may not be true, who knows, but they told me that the open contract guys can't get infantry because you have to volunteer for it. And I was like, that's what I wanted, Yeah, and when I joined, there was no boat spaces. I was gonna have to wait. Yeah.
Oh wow, yeah.
But yeah, infantry, bro. That's you're in it now. You're a rifleman. You're a Marine Rifleman. You're going through boot camp. You go through SOI. And this is at a time where you're right. There is deployments going on. Were your instructors guys that had just returned from deployments, or had they not even deployed yet?
Yeah, my senior, he was over there, and I think he was ordnance. And he had that table that's by the the duty hut, the porthole, the window there.
The moto table.
Yeah, the moto table. He had all his stuff out there, and it was pretty cool to look at. When we got the time. He'd been there. He'd been deployed. I'm not sure how many times by that point. But there was another. Man, there was a few of them. There was. I think maybe. Three of our drill instructors, just our platoon alone. 3 of our drill instructors went there. They'd already been.
What about SOI though?
SOI, yes. I think there was a couple there, and you know those guys. You can just kind of tell. There's a demeanor that can't be like practiced. There's like it's like an almost lethargic kind of a laid back, way of about them. And their camis are like always white. Their deserts are always like they're white. They're faded. Yeah. It's like, dude, they just, man, their haircuts barely in regs. It's like these guys they've been there and done that.
They're letting you know. They're putting out all the signs.
Yeah. You figure this out later on, and then you look at your own camis, you're like, oh man, Yeah, I'm pretty salty.
There's always
man.
there's always little things where you can tell somebody got to go do something. There for a little bit, the only time you saw somebody wearing the Danner boots, I don't even know, you probably weren't even in when the Danner boots came out, were you? The ones that had the leather toe on them and the leather heel.
I'm not. No, I don't think I saw.
It had like a reinforced toe and a reinforced heel. When those
Yeah.
first came out, the only people that had those were people that had been to Afghanistan. So if you
Oh,
were
yeah.
walking around base and you saw a dude with those on, you knew that guy had just gotten back from Afghanistan. If they were beat up,
Oh,
if they're
yeah.
brand new, he's getting ready to go.
Yeah,
And it was those little things. So when you come back from Afghanistan, you're like, oh yeah, check out my boots. You know, like, oh, I got these
Yeah.
Danners. Yeah, they're pretty badass.
Hey, by the way,
Yeah, it's all those little things where guys are like kind of flexing on each other. And
yeah,
stuff.
right. Yeah. That's funny, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we actually, he wasn't one of our platoon's drill instructors. He was from another deck. But he's actually in a man, I can't remember. I think the documentary is called Anvil of God, and I think it aired in like 2009. It was like Anderson Cooper, that kind of a thing. But he was actually in it. A guy named Ramirez, and I remember him. I remember him and his voice and his face. And he came up onto our deck and he was talking about Fallujah. He was in the push, and I believe he was with 1-8. So he'd made that. He'd made Phantom Fury, and he came back. He came up to our deck and he's like, "Yeah, you motherfuckers, all y'all sloppy ass shitbags, y'all would have fucking gotten murked in fucking Fallujah. Y'all would have fucking died." I was like, "Damn, dude." But he kept talking about it. He would mention it. Fallujah, and that, of course, that was, man, almost exactly a year, prior. Whenever I made it to boot camp, it was damn near like to the day.
Yeah. That was a good time to be going through like training though, because all the cool videos were coming out.
Oh yeah.
They'd show you that like that moto video from Fallujah, where they're like, I don't even remember the name of the song. I have it going in my head, but I don't even know the name of it. You got the guy smashing the mirror with his rifle and stuff. People know what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's like yeah.
Yeah, it's like, it starts out with the guitar riff at the beginning. It's like, yeah. Good one though. If I can find it, I'll throw it in here. I'll put a little.
Seether.
Is that what it was? Yeah, well, Seether. That in forever.
Yeah, it was Seether.
That's crazy.
Yeah, man.
So
that was a good moto video.
3-6 was your first station. When you got there, where were they at? Where were they at on their deployment cycle? Did you show up right before deployment or right after they just got home? How did that look?
Yeah, so they had, I believe it was the Iraq deployment where Iron Fist and Steel Curtain had went down, and I want to say they redeployed back to the States in either late 05 or maybe it was or may have been early 06. I know that they were back. They were already back, but they were either, and I can't remember now, man, for the life of me, if they were in the field or if they may have been, starting to go to the rifle range or what. But a lot of the senior guys, they weren't there yet. They weren't there to welcome us just yet. That's always a good fucking time, the anticipation, right? You just see other lance corporals maybe and PFCs running around, the quad and shit, and you're like, damn, dude, it's like fucking Lord of the Flies, a bunch of children running around here. But
dude, it is. That's what it is. It's 18 and 19-year-olds being led by 19 and 20-year-olds.
Yeah.
It's shenanigans.
Yeah, man. But it was a very seasoned unit. A couple of the guys have been on like 2 or 3 deployments. By the time I got there to the fleet. So there was a lot of good experience that went into the training. What we should expect. We never been before, so they're telling us everything they know as far as the deployments go, what to expect. It's just a wealth of knowledge, man. But I'll never forget when we trucked out there, because like when we graduated ITB, it was like it was a very unceremonious thing. There was like maybe it was like 4 bleachers high, and there was like a couple of families just sitting there, kind of like, let's hurry this up. It was very much
we came to this. They're like looking around
yeah.
like we came to what was
Like,
this?
where's the parade and shit? But
This isn't boot camp. All the fun's over now.
Yeah. And so we get done with that, and then it's immediately like the trucks. These trucks were already waiting for us to throw our sea bags and shit in there, and load up and get going across the river. And we get there and onto L Street, and then we pull into a 3-6 into the 3-6 like headquarters. Right there on that sidewalk, and the buildings there, and the barracks are right here. And I'll never forget, man. We get there, and a bunch of us boots are standing there in formation, waiting for whoever to come out and address us. And we look up, and behind us, and there's some they've been there. They've clearly been there for a while. It may have been like other senior Marines from a different company, maybe I want to say, but they're up there on the 3rd, 2nd, decks of the catwalk there, and they're kind of like leaning over the railing, and some of them have their shirts off with like their boots on still, their boots and camo, trousers and shit on, and they're all like leaning. Some of them are in civvies, they're like leaning over, looking at us, man. And it's like that cliche jailhouse movie where like the fresh meat comes in, and they're looking around like, fuck, dude, where are we at? Like, damn, I shouldn't have fucked up in life, and they're all like looking at us.
I wanted to be. It's like that meme. I wanted to be funny in class. Now I'm standing.
Right. Yeah, man. But that was funny. It was a funny fucking thing, and I was like, dude, this is it, I guess. And these guys are not even. They're not our seniors. I had an idea. You can just tell. Like a lot of the guys I knew, they looked really young, man. Really fucking young. Now I was older getting in, but. Still, man, and I know I didn't look old by any means. I still look like a kid at 23, but I just remember, man, that just the youthful appearance of a lot of them. But then when the seniors came in, they had that same SOI instructor kind of demeanor, but they were going to be a little bit more strict. They're going to be a little bit more on our ass, because they want us to learn as quick as possible. How we do it in the fleet,
Yeah, I mean, you're literally the people they're going to fight with, So
it's
yeah. If we're going to go get in a fight, then you better be ready, and it's on them to make you ready. If you learn anything that you didn't pick up in training. Do you think your training at SOI was pretty adequate for what you rolled into in your training at 3-6?
I think it was. I think it was a good, maybe a good baseline. But every unit has their own SOPs. I guess based on on that specific unit's their own experience. I mean, and they can differ from company to company. It's just based on what they encountered on their latest or their most recent deployment, or they could even draw back on the deployment before that. And take from that and combine them, and just do all kinds of other wild shit. Just to kind of get you up to speed. But a lot of it was retain it, remember it, remember the training. I mean, it's good.
Yeah.
But semper fucking Gumby. Be ready to be flexible, and you're gonna learn a lot more shit. A lot more. It's probably gonna be more advanced. That kind of
yeah.
Thing,
essentially, they're gonna introduce you to like basic concepts. And then you're going to build from that when you get on into the fleet.
Yeah. I think it was good. I mean, I enjoyed it. I think I enjoyed all the training. It was I thought it was pretty good shit.
When you were at 3-6, how, as an 0311 as a rifleman, how often are you shooting, or is it mostly maneuver training, or do you guys get to shoot quite a bit?
The way I remember it with the training, we would do a lot of it was room clearing, but when we went to the field, we did a lot of trench. We cleared trenches a lot, and I don't know if I don't know if maybe that was get used to being hunched over, maybe staying low as you're moving and maneuvering and shit like that. I don't know. Maybe there was that was a purpose, or even helping with room clearing, because you're not going to just walk straight up a flight of stairs if you know somebody's in there. You're kind of going to be crouched down to where you can quickly pop up if you have to, and engage a target that could be standing right there, not just walking straight up, high porting your fucking weapon or whatever. But as far as like the movement goes, I think a lot of it was getting us used to moving as fire teams at first to make it a lot easier, 4-man fire teams. And then expanding that to like squads, and then moving, say, one fire team moves up and the other 2 fire teams on the flanks are providing that covering fire. And then that center fire team will provide cover fire while another fire team moves up. And it was just like, they would say, we want you to do it this way. And that's the way you ran it. And you might go through 3 or 4 or 5 damn dry runs, before you actually get to really count it, your wet run, so to speak. Yeah. But a lot of bounding, covering like danger areas, like crossing highways or, alleys, corners and shit like that. A lot of it was, there was a good amount of urban warfare training, mount town and, door to door, that kind of thing, clearing flights, different decks and shit like that, man. But
that makes sense considering they had just gotten back from doing Steel Curtain. Doing all of that clearing and stuff.
And we would even take, like, if we couldn't go to the armory for whatever reason, we would take broomsticks and clear the barracks rooms and shit. Clear the ladder wells and all that kind of shit, man. But it was good shit, man. They wanted us to stay busy. Well, I remember my first squad leader. He's like, man, if I come into y'all's fucking room and you're playing video games or some shit, I'm gonna kick the shit out of y'all. Fucking put on the news, current fucking affairs. If I come in, I see you watching some shit like that, you're good. If you're not gonna be doing something, then watch the news or see what the fuck's going on over the in Iraq and Afghanistan and shit. Keep up with that shit, so you get the general idea. But yeah, man, it was good. It was really good. They did a great job, I think, man. I think that's what made the that 07 deployment to Iraq. I guess it could have been. I think it probably could have been a lot tougher had it not been for their experience, and their being able to kind of lay it all out for us and essentially tell us that they've experienced the same things,
Yeah, I mean, and everybody is a boot at some point, right? You don't know anything, so they know. The best leaders understand that, like, new guys, you just don't know what you don't know.
Right.
I never understood guys that would just yell at a dude for not knowing something that they've never been taught. Yeah. It's like, dude, teach the guy, and then if he doesn't fucking pick it up, then start adding some pressure to it. But if you're just a dick from the beginning, like, how do you expect him to learn it? Like, that's like a horrible way to try to teach something to somebody. I never got that. So it's like the best people are the ones that understand that, like, this kid doesn't know anything, so we got to teach him. And that's your job, corporal. You're the manager of the junior Marines. You're supposed to be the direct supervisor, providing that, knowledge that you've picked up, and then go from there. But yeah, man, I mean, that's good. Did you guys have any opportunities as an 0311? Is there many opportunities for schools? And if so, what schools would there be?
I know there was a couple of guys, man, that they went, and of course they had, I remember they came out, I think it was actually before the fleet. I want to say we were, I want to say, damn, was it in the fleet? I can't remember if it was in the fleet or if it was in SOI, but we actually had some guys from like recon and stay and all that. They would come out and, throw their pitch out there. Yeah. And if you wanted to give it a shot, you were more than welcome to come up in front or whatever, and they would, get your name and all that shit. And you can go and do that if you give it a shot. If you don't, if you wash out or whatever, you just come back to the unit, wherever we were, So there were some guys that did that, snipers and recon they were the two big ones I remember. That guys.
Did you ever have any desire to try for like snipers or anything?
No, I kind of, sort of, but not. I didn't know because it's going to sound kind of like a cop out, but I didn't know if I was going to be in long term. You know what I mean? Like if I was going to make a career out of it, and I was like, well, if I don't, I'd hate to. I'd hate to go and try to do that if I wasn't going to make a career out of it. But and honestly, man, I enjoyed the training and everything that I got out of being an 11. It was I thought it was pretty good shit. Would it have been cool? I think so. Yeah, it would have been cool, but I don't know if my eyesight would have allowed me to really go for snipers. You know what I mean,
bro? The thing is like people can hate on that and like, yeah, I bet he wanted to go, like whatever. But I would much rather someone be like, hey man, this isn't for me, than waste a spot for someone that may actually want to do it. Like joining the Marines, that's something you gotta want. You gotta want to go to sniper school, or if you don't know what you're getting yourself into, you're about to go through misery. Like those guys aren't fucking around. So if you don't want it, then you're setting yourself up for failure from the beginning. So I appreciate it because not everybody's perfect for every job.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. So let's talk about when we're moving up to the deployment time frame. So now, when did you hear about the deployment? Did you know where you guys were going to go? How did you feel as like a newer guy? Like, this is the first deployment. Here we go. Do you remember how your family reacted when you told them?
Yeah. So, of course, it was still early. It was still early on after I'd been dropped into the fleet. They already, because the op tempo was so insane at that time, man. It was work up for deployment, deploy, come back after your 7 to 10 months, however long you're going to be gone, work up for like another 7 or 8 months, deploy again, maybe even sooner than that. It was just back and forth, just deployment after deployment after deployment. So we all had an idea. We knew that it was coming. We all look forward to it. It's what we signed up. It's what we signed up for. It's what we signed up to do. And I remember they told us it was going to be Iraq, but they didn't know specifically where in Iraq. It wasn't until a little bit later on they were like, yeah, it's going to be a place called Habaniya. And it's like a rural kind of a town area, so many miles, it's so many miles east of Ramadi and west of Fallujah. It's like right in between them. And we were going to be operating, the AO was going to be that whole area around the Euphrates. And so we had an idea then where we were going, and more specifically in the area, the region, whenever we were, like wrapping up CACs, and, that's where we got, I think that's where we started getting like maps of the area as well. Like our squad leaders might show us a map and say, yeah, this is where we're going to be running our AO. This is where our AO is going to be. This is where we're going to be running ops. And that was pretty much it. And, my parents, they expected it. They expected
the time has come,
Yeah.
The dreaded moment.
Yeah, it's inevitable. It's just a matter of time. Yeah, man, I'll never forget it, man. They went before we were to take off. My parents and my sister, they had come up for it was that weekend, and then I think we were going to take off like during that week. I don't know if it was like Monday. I don't think it was Monday. It may have been like a Tuesday or Wednesday or something like that. But they had come up for that last weekend. We all had a great time, and it was fun, man. And I don't think it really hit my mom until I went to the airport with them, because they were going, they're flying out of Jacksonville Airport, little cookie cutter airplanes and shit there. And I remember, it's so small that you can see them walk to the terminal, So I go as far as I can, and I, kind of hug them and kiss them bye. And I think my dad, he rounded the corner first, kind of like waved, and I did the wave, and then my sister, she was behind my mother. So my mother's about to round the corner. She kind of stops and she looks at me, man. She's got the saddest, and she's like crying. Like she's trying not to cry, but she is crying. I'm like, oh man, I'm like, that's going to get me,
it's
man.
Tough.
But yeah, so I see her face. It's full of dread and worry. And I wave, and I'll get choked up now just thinking about it. But she kind of waves, and I wave by, and my sister's kind of like, she knew mom was mom was gonna be the emotional one. But my sister gave me like the reassuring, like bye, and it's not bye, it's we'll see you later, And then man, like, and I'm not gonna lie, dude. When my mom, when they all rounded the corner, that's whenever I turned. I went to the restroom and I fucking cried, man. Because it killed me seeing my mom like that, dude.
Yeah, it's tough. People don't realize how tough it is.
Yeah. But
it's almost you don't want them to be there when you leave, but you want them to be there when you get back. Because that's like fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. Yeah, and then that was it, man. And then I think it was like maybe that week, man. But later in that week, we took off to Camp Habania, man.
I remember, so when I deployed with 3-6 in 2011, my mom, my sister, and my brother-in-law came down. And, dude, I remember they were all standing there, and I had to, like, you get on the bus to leave. And I'm like waving at them through the glass or whatever, and then you're there for like 5 or 10 more minutes, and it's just like, hey, like I'm just sitting here, like, can we go? Like, move up 50 feet, like,
something. Give us something. Damn.
It's just so weird because you're just like, I could see you, but what am I gonna do? Sir, make faces at you? It's like, I don't know. It's tough, man. It sucks when you're leaving. Yeah, when you have family there. I was married with a kid, so my kid would get all emotional and stuff. Like, even when I remember one time I was going to Oklahoma for either a Chiefs course or some other school, and my kid, they were taking me to the airport, and my kid was like, "Don't leave.
Oh man,
come and watch what movie was like? Come and watch Nemo or something with me." And I'm like, "I gotta go, buddy." That destroys you. It kind of kills you a little bit on the inside.
Man. I don't know how you and those guys did it, man, with kids. Dude, it's like I drop my daughter off, on the weekends or whatever, and I'm like, oh, man, dude, I miss her so much,
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine.
It sucks,
7
dude.
months. Yeah.
It sucks. That's why at the end when I got to the point where I wanted to get out, I was just like, this isn't worth it anymore. Like, to leave my kid to go, because I was doing Muse. At the end, I was like, I'm going to leave to go sit on ship for 7 months where there's no job for a JTAC. I answer a phone. That's about it. What a waste of my fucking time. And I just didn't feel good about leaving my kid anymore like that. So, but it's tough, but got to do it, man. So then you guys, I remember, and let me know if you remember this at all. I remember when I left with 3-6, there was, when we had everybody there to like get their bags and all that stuff. There was a dude that didn't want to deploy. He was like getting upset. Like he was like super nervous about the deployment. He was all like, I don't think, no, man. Like, I think he started crying and stuff. And I was like, bro, like relax, that was kind of crazy. Did you see anybody that was like kind of nervous about it and kind of like, oh man, I really don't want to do this, or was everybody, even if they're faking it, like keeping it like, yeah, let's do this?
Yeah, man. I think everybody was pretty like, gung ho, man. They were ready to do it. We trained pretty hard, for it. And I think everybody was just thinking about all that training, and we're like, man, let's put it to use.
Finally.
Like, yeah, exactly. It was kind of like it's like you're gonna let us
break from the training.
yeah. We get away from the barracks, not knowing that 7 months later, them barracks look sweet.
Oh yeah. Yeah, after you go out to 29 Palms and do all that, do CAX, the combined arms exercise, and EMV. So for people that don't know what that is, CAX, combined arms exercise, swap it interchangeably pretty much for EMV or Mojave Viper. It's Mojave Viper and enhanced Mojave Viper. All of that is like pre-deployment. It's like a month of pre-deployment training in 29 Palms that Marines would do before they deploy. And you do like it's like a crawl, walk, run kind of deal where they start with like your lower, like you said before, you started training with your fire team and got comfortable there, and then you move up with squad tactics, and it's the same thing in 29 Palms for those that don't know what we're talking about. And it's they move up to company and battalion level maneuvers and combined arms. We're bringing in live fire aircraft, or shooting actual artillery. You probably saw at least once they shoot the Miklik, the mine clearing line charge, which is like, I don't even know, hundreds of pounds of C4 on a big ass string, basically.
Yeah,
those things are badass.
That's so cool. I always loved.
It is so cool.
I always loved the, and I believe I think that's what that was at the very beginning when that final exercise kicks off. They breach, like a berm.
Oh, yeah,
Boom!
that gap.
Yeah. It's like, oh, here we go. They really kicked it off. I'll never forget that, man. That was always my favorite part because the rest of it sucked.
Oh yeah, all the maneuver.
Winded, man.
Dude, those Mikliks are badass though. That'd be cool to set one of those off.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, they are badass. It's really cool to watch.
I guess they had like a backpack version of it. It's called something Pop or something. I don't even. Someone in the comments can tell me what it's called. But there's like a backpack version of the Miklik that 3-6 carried when they were in like Marja, and they would use that if they thought there was like a danger area that could be mined. They would pull it out But man, imagine you're doing a clear of an area and all your shit's on your back, and you got to carry that Miklik backpack. And,
all your shit too. Yeah, man, damn.
I've interviewed a couple guys that had to do that, and it just sounds fucking miserable.
Can we hurry up and fire this fucking thing?
Yeah, let's get an engagement so we can lighten this load a little bit.
Ammo or something. Give me something. Let me throw some rounds downrange. Something.
When you guys flew into Iraq, I assume you guys went through Kuwait and then into Iraq. Where you guys did you guys do the standard like day or two in Kuwait and then fly into Iraq to like a big base, and they move you out to your main base you're going to?
Yeah. Yes. So, of course, we took off. We bust up to Cherry Point, from Cherry Point to Maine, Bangor, and then all that whole deal, man, where all the like the Vietnam veterans and all those guys are out there, and they're letting you use their cell phones so you can call home one more time and all that good stuff. Yeah. So cool, man. And then from there it was like Ireland, which was a tease. I'm like, damn, dude, my second home is like right down the way. But
did they let you guys drink on your way in?
Yeah, we got the 2 beer limit. Not knowing that,
was it 2 beers or was it 2 beers?
2 pints. yeah. Maybe sneak some shit on the damn flight, but yeah. So from there, and then from there it was off to Kuwait, and then that's when we got the ammo and all that shit, and that was one of those like eye-opening moments. It's like, oh damn, okay, I got ammo, and then of course you get you get in the C-130. I believe it was the C-130 the first time we went there, from Kuwait into Iraq, and land at I believe we landed in TQ.
Probably, yeah, because TQ's right next to Lake Habbaniyah.
Yeah, and then I forget. It's so weird, man. Because TQ isn't that TQ is like it's west of Fallujah, right?
Yes, I believe it's southwest of Fallujah.
Is it
but
south?
I could be wrong about that. It's like within 45 minutes of Fallujah. It's pretty close.
Yeah, because we drove through the middle of Fallujah at night to get out to Camp Habbaniyah. For some damn reason, I was like, when I thought about it later, I'm like, well, how the hell did we...
That doesn't make sense, because I'm pretty sure those are opposite directions, but I could be wrong about that.
Yeah.
It's been so long.
Yeah, man, I'm like, what the hell is going on? But like, in retrospect, when I'm thinking about it, I'm like, dude, we drove through Fallujah. Now, my direction may be way off. We may have been coming from the other way, but Camp Habbaniyah would have been, it's west of Fallujah. So I just remember.
That's weird, because Habbaniyahs were right across the lake from TQ. Right?
Yeah. It's like it's not. I remember it not being very far at all.
Yeah.
But for whatever
Everything's
reason.
confusing when you first get there because you're like, what?
Yeah.
You know, especially if it's your first deployment, you don't even know what the hell's
Yeah.
happening at that point.
Oh yeah, man. And it was at night, and we were in 7 tons, and they had the flaps over the sides. And I remember peeking up under that shit and seeing like the silhouettes of the damn buildings and shit. Of course, there's no electricity. It was dark as fuck. The sky was like it was like an orangish color. But I just remember seeing that creepy ass, the skyline, just the buildings, the taller buildings and shit. I'm like, damn, we're in the middle of this fucking city.
We're here.
And
here we go.
Yeah, man, that's what it was, man. And for whatever reason, we went that way, and we ended up, we trucked to Camp Hob, and that's where we unloaded.
When you got there and you started doing your RIP, which is the relief in place, for those that don't know, we started doing your RIP. What were the guys saying that you were relieving? Were they like, "Hey, it's been pretty active," or was it not? I mean, what was the feedback that you were getting?
Yeah, from what I remember, from what I recall, they were saying that they took casualties, of course. The area was bad with IEDs. Especially IEDs and snipers there, them two fucking things were, they were always terrible. They got into a couple of firefights. It wasn't gonna be like head up all the time. That their shift in tactics was, all right, we'll just throw a whole bunch of IEDs around and hopefully they'll step on them, and we'll take pot shots and we'll do drive-bys and shit like that and use our snipers, but. They would point out specific areas, that may have been, a little worse than others, as far as like engagements go. And then this area over here was really bad with IEDs. Over here we found a lot of snipers, that we get a lot of sniper fire from here, and it was being new. When you hear that shit from your squad leader, it's like, fuck, dude. Okay, well, I mean, this is. This is kind of what we expected, it's what we're here for. And then, then it was kind of like, all right, well, I think we did a good enough job with training, and I think that the experienced guys, squad leaders, team leaders, I think they did a great job with getting us up for it. I don't remember anybody being like scared or even like nervous, but that's probably just fucking naivety. It's not knowing.
Nothing had happened yet.
Yeah. But it was cool to get that first brief, man, and then we're being told, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna get, we're gonna go and patrol for our what's gonna be, our battle positions or patrol bases, whatever you want to call them. That's how we did it, man. We dropped all of our sea bags off and shit we didn't need, at Camp Hob, and every squad had their own room, so that's where all the shit was staged. And then it was, take off, go out and fucking patrol and get your BPs and see if you can get into a fight while you're doing it.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. That's close with, get in there and find them, boys.
Yeah.
But how often? I mean, you obviously said it, that they weren't really standing and fighting though, because they know they're not going to sit there and fight with a squad or a platoon or company of Marines. That's just a suicide mission. So how often did it happen? At least a few times where you guys got into like a sustained or like an actual firefight, or was it almost exclusively pot shots and sniper shots with IEDs mixed in?
Yeah. So I guess I could start from the beginning. When we got to this, I think it was called Blue. It wasn't our platoons. It wasn't our BP where we were going to be operating. We just essentially we stopped there and got the lay of their that platoon's AO, just to be familiar with it. And we were sitting there in this little kind of like breezeway area, and I remember there was a big fucking explosion out, like it was I remember being off to my left, and I saw this little mushroom cloud come up. I'm like, oh shit, that's fucking crazy. first time I ever heard and felt an explosion like that, you know. Mm-hmm. And a few minutes goes by, and then our squad leader comes over. He goes, "Yeah, so we're about to take off. We're gonna go off, you know, and we're gonna patrol until we reach our patrol base." And you know, obviously they knew what building that was and where it was, and of course, it was in the direction of the fucking smoke. You know, I'm like, oh, cool. We get to fucking patrol out here towards this fucking explosion, and we've heard all about these IEDs and shit. But you know, as far as the engagements go, and them want to stand and actually, you know, duke it out with us. I know one of I think it was second platoon. They actually got into a little skirmish across the Euphrates with maybe a little more than a fire team sized element that was over there, and they were up. They were stupid, man. They were in the prone apparently, and they were firing their machine guns at the Marines across the river, and it's on video. It's a little moto video. It's actually it was recorded. And when you're looking, you can see the muzzle flashes. You know, there's like multiple muzzle flashes across this little berm. And as soon as the muzzle flash happens, you see little plumes of dirt, that moon dust shit come up. It's like, oh fuck, I'll just aim over there. You know, just they give us it's a smoke signature. That fuck, let's go ahead and take them out. So, like, you know, and Mike has actually mentioned this before. Like in Afghanistan, the Taliban was a lot smarter with it. They would piss or take water and muddy the fucking sand where they were going to lie prone, so it wouldn't kick up that damn moon dust. Yeah, you know, difference in tactics and you know, IQ awareness. But that was one of the few, and it got caught on. You know, it was recorded, so it's pretty cool to see. But I don't know. I don't know how long that lasted, but that was one case. You know, our platoon, our squad specifically, we patrolled up north towards the Euphrates, and we reached the berm because we were getting word that there was a lot of activity up that way. So they wanted us to go check it out, and you know, we get up there on this berm, we spread out, and there's an IED team. We got lucky, and there was an IED team that came up, and they were gonna emplace a fucking bomb. They came up in a bongo truck, and I think there was two dudes. There was a driver, and of course the two guys who were going to actually emplace the bomb. Our squad leader, you know, he's like, he calls it up. He's like, man, this is legit. It's an IED. There's wires and shit coming out of this device, and there's a guy that's in a hole. He's standing in this fucking hole, and he's about to take the device from this other asshole that's in the truck bed. And he's going to put it down in the dirt. So we got permission to engage, smoked them, killed both of them like instantly. You know, it was quick. It was every Marine Rifleman, right? I mean, it's the Rifleman. These guys ambushed. The ambush tactic was, you know, as my buddy Icorn, he had the rifle. He fucking had a tracer round set first, so he knew where he was going to be, where his rounds were going. So he didn't have to fucking use it to see where his rounds landed, because he said the tracer. He goes, dude. He goes, when I pulled the trigger, the tracer, it was almost in slow motion. The fucking tracer, it was going down. I could see that it was heading right towards this fucking asshole when it hit him in this fucking dome. And he's
shit.
He said it clacked him in the fucking dome, and the fucking tracer round went like up, like exited out the top of his head, and it fucking flew out into the netherworld or whatever. But he said that dude just fucking folded. And then my buddy Green, he was the other saw gunner. He let off like a fucking 5 or 8 round burst or some shit, man. He about sawed this dude in half, the other guy. And that was I don't know for sure if that was the first 2, you know, enemy KIAs that the unit had gotten. It was pretty early on. But the driver, he took off, and there was very obviously a sniper on their end that was providing overwatch. And he saw where we were. Not very good
Overwatch.
Right, yeah. And So he took a shot at Eichhorn, and the round he just missed. It was in between because he was up on the berm like this, and the round hit like right here in between his elbows, and it like kicked the dirt up and shit. He's like, oh fuck. So we pulled down off the berm, maybe 100 yards back, up to a building, get on a rooftop, and we were hoping to get like some air support, because we knew where the sniper was, what building he was in. So we're quickly trying to call this shit up, and we can hear. I remember hearing the fixed wing. It was on standby, and it was just kind of like fucking like roving. You could hear it going.
Oh yeah.
Like, oh, and we're like, oh shit, like, oh, this is gonna be fucking great. But they denied it. They shot it down because there was too many other buildings. They were afraid of like collateral damage, civilian, casualties and shit like that, man. But that was
people think that's a point, and I always like to bring that up when someone says something like that. I always like to bring it up that people always talk about on like TV and the news and stuff. They make it sound like we're just slinging hellfires into wedding parties and just nonchalantly dropping bombs into neighborhoods, and they don't really understand that the targeting process is actually pretty robust, and that I've had so many things get shot down, denied, because there's like a mud wall nearby, there's a compound nearby, there's a mosque nearby, there's kids nearby. Like we literally tracked 2 guys. Was it 2 guys? I think it was 2 guys. Ended up being 1, but they had kids they had them following them because they knew that we wouldn't do anything. And they just kept this group of kids with them for a while, and we watched them until as soon as those kids got away from them, hit them with a hellfire. Yeah. And it was like we would literally wait hours to confirm that this is the right person. This is the right, it's way more in depth than a lot of people realize.
Yeah. It's not indiscriminate. It's very much, it's all done with a purpose, man. With a clear objective, a clear target. And
obviously mistakes happen, and which sucks. It's war. It's Yeah. And unfortunately, when a mistake happens and you're talking about fire support, that's a pretty big mistake. Dropping a bomb on something you're not supposed to or whatever. Mistakes, but I've never seen anyone like willfully or maliciously try to drop on something, that shouldn't have been dropped on. That's just not something that is done. Yeah,
because for obvious reasons, right? It'd be fucking wrong. It'd be fucked up, and it's another thing. It's not something that we do,
Well, you're only making enemies, when you're doing it. Every time you blow up someone's house, they're obviously not very happy about that.
Yeah, I mean, and people don't realize just how fragile it is, man. It takes like 10 damn years to make 5 damn allies, and it only takes a singular fuck up in the span of like 5 seconds to make 1,000 fucking enemies. That's just how fragile
PR is huge. Yeah. Remember when this happened in Afghanistan? I think they said there was a claim that they found a bunch of burnt Qurans on like an Air Force base or something like that.
I heard about it.
And like all these riots, I think some people had gotten killed. There were like attacks. There was all this crazy stuff. And then it came out that never even happened. It wasn't even a true story. It was just a fucking, it was an IO campaign that went around, and all these like Middle Eastern like countries like were fucking furious about it. They thought it was all true. And I think we made the mistake of apologizing before realizing that we actually didn't do anything wrong. It's like, wait, hold on.
Wait, I take that damn apology back. We didn't do shit.
Wait, we didn't need, Because, again, there's assholes out there, and I'm sure there's people that are malicious. There are people that are malicious in the military. But it's not like it runs rampant. I would never, if I ran into someone and they're like, I'm going to burn all these Qurans, I'd be like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about, dude?
Yeah.
Most people would be like, well, come on,
like,
dude.
Why?
Why? What are you trying to do here? But, Dude, so after you don't get your air support, which happens. Was that it? You guys kind of hung around waiting to see if you could pick up that sniper, or moved along?
Yeah, we did. We kind of hung out for a little bit, and then of course it was very uneventful after that. He probably just said fuck it, picked up his shit and left, and then that's when we RTB'd. and that was pretty much it, man. But we did a lot of during that stay. I'd say I think we got there. I think we got there on the 18th of January in 07. January 18th of 07. I think it was when we got there first got there. But we stayed running ops, patrols and all that good shit, and providing, security and, running posts and shit like that out of this little, this house. It was, I guess, considered a nicer house for that area. But we, of course, told the family, hey, we really could use this. We will pay you rent while we're here if you have family to go live with for the time being, which we did. Of course, sandbagged everything up and it just made it it's a military operation now. We ran operations out of there for maybe a month and a half, almost 2 months. I want to say month and a half, 2 months. Before we actually went on an operation north of the Euphrates that had never been. There was no American presence there before since the invasion, and that's where we for that whole time we were there at this little 592 is what the patrol base is called. For the time that we were there, we were taking a lot of drive-by, pot shots and fucking sniper fire. There was IEDs all up and down one of the main roads. We ran an operation we called Big Snatch. Obviously, it's a marine term. It was marine made.
Yeah.
But we rolled up a bunch of dudes at night, man, kicking in a bunch of doors around this house with informants. I think we had like 2 or 3 informants. They were masked up because they didn't want to be recognized. So they were literally going up this house here. Alibaba, bad guy. All right, fuck. So we fucking kicked the damn door in, and we were doing this as a platoon. So you would have 3 squads of Marines broken down into like fire teams and shit like that, sweeping and clearing as fast as we could, just in the middle of the night. People are trying to sleep, and we're just fucking making all this noise, boom, kicking in doors and shit. And one guy was fucking standing behind the door, and the door got kicked in. And this sounds bad, but the door got kicked in as he's standing right there, and because they don't wear shoes or nothing, so his fucking, I think his toenail on the big toe got caught underneath the door as it was being flung open. Like peeled his shit back. So but I think
unfortunate.
I don't know the number. I can't remember the number now, but we rolled up some legit dudes, man, that were Al Qaeda. Yeah. They were affiliated. Yeah, they were affiliated with Al Qaeda, and they were doing bad shit. I think we rounded up like 30 something fucking dudes. It's just around the fucking area, man. It was a lot. I remember there being a lot. But that's the kind of shit we were doing for that first month and a half. Going out, show a force, a presence, and really just trying to get into a fight. Please shoot at us. We want to know where you're at. That kind of thing.
Did you feel like you guys were doing something, or did it feel like, man, what are we doing? Or were because sometimes it's like, what are we doing? What is this?
Yeah.
Like, what is this mission?
Yeah, like that. Yeah, that was, especially when we were told just what we had done. We rolled up legit dudes. Now, of course, there were some who they weren't. I don't know if maybe the fucking informant didn't like the guy. It was like, go fucking, that's him, Alibaba.
Yeah.
But no, they were good. They were actually pretty good. These guys that told us, here's the houses, that you need to look at, and by look at, just kick the shit in and go fucking round them up. And
what was it like the first time you did that? Were you like, holy shit, we're about to kick somebody's door down?
Yeah. Because I've never done it before,
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, oh fuck, this is all right. Well, fuck, okay. Of course, you're always, you're in the mindset that they're expecting you. If you go in with that mindset, even though they're probably not, because it's in the middle of the night. It's like fucking, I don't know, 1 or 2 in the morning. Everybody's asleep. It's dark. But when you go in with that mindset, man, I don't think anything's going to take you for surprise. Nothing's going to surprise you.
Yeah.
And that's. I remember it just being like that. It was fast. I remember it was. All right, next house. Yeah, we got this guy. All right, this is the guy. You sure? Yep. Okay. Blindfold him. fucking burlap or whatever, goggles if we had to. You know, we started running out of burlaps, so we had to use some of our goggles and shit.
Black them out. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that was that was pretty cool, getting to do that, and then of course finding out the results. It was a sense of gratification. You know, like it was.
Oh yeah.
It was good. You know, we got
when you find out it's a legitimate guy, you're like, oh, cool, good.
Yeah, and on top of, you know, I mean, I think I'm just gonna say it. You want to kill bad guys, you know. It's what you signed up to do, and
that's the game, dude.
Yeah, and you know, I figured, you know, if we didn't kill him, at least we have him for some intel, you know. And you think about, damn, if this guy has this intel on this particular incident or whatever it may be, that's one source, and you're talking about close to 30-something fucking dudes who can give you different kinds of intel, you know, if they're willing to talk. You know, I thought the whole catch and release thing was bullshit. I think we could only hold him for like 48 hours, you know, detain him for 48 hours or some shit like that. But there was some intel that was gathered from those kinds of operations.
Good, man.
It helped, you know.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think anytime you know that the person that you've gone after or whatever. So I did a HIMARS strike. My second HIMARS strike I did in Afghanistan. I think it was my second HIMARS strike I did in Afghanistan when I was with 3-6, actually. Smoked these guys that were placing an IED, and when we got the intel about who they were, one of the guys was confirmed to be the IED maker that had built an IED earlier in the deployment that had wounded one of the officers. It had blown up. Like, one of the platoon commanders got injured enough. We had Charlie 1-6 attached to us when I was with 3-6. We had Charlie 1-6 attached to us, and right after they got there, they lost a couple guys from sniper fire, corpsmen. And then one of the lieutenants got hit. I think it was one of the platoon commanders. It may have been a company commander, but they hit an IED and fucked them up enough where they had to medevac them back home. And then a few months later, fast forward, we see these guys placing IEDs. I call in HIMARS strike on them, and then we get the intel, and they're like, "Yeah, that was the guy that built the IED that injured so and so." And I was like, "Fuck that dude."
Yeah,
you know, I was like, I didn't. You know, that's why I was like, no, I don't feel bad. I'll go to sleep at night and not care. Like, the thing is like, when people, it sounds weird maybe to people that have never been over there, but that's the game. And it sounds messed up to call it a game, but they're literally trying to kill me, and I'm literally trying to kill them. Yeah. That's what it is. At the end of the day, that's what it is. And anyone else that like wants to pussyfoot around that is someone that probably didn't get into that part of the game. They sat on the base and they went to Green Bean Coffee and then they talked about how they deployed. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that, because those people are setting up the people out front for success, or you know, providing the supplies and stuff like that. But that's the game. You're fighting these people, you know. And I remember on my advisor team deployment when we had the ICOM and we had our interpreter there, our linguist was like talking shit to the Taliban. Like, we had radios where we could talk to them, and they'd be like, "We're gonna cut your head off. Like, we're gonna fucking kill you." And it was like back and forth. We're like, "Zap, stop talking shit to the Taliban. Like, you're getting them all riled up." You know?
That's fucking awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, it's such a weird, and if you haven't been there, then it's hard to like put yourself in that mindset. But you got to understand, they're literally trying to kill me, and I'm literally trying to kill them, and that's the game.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, that's it, right? That's war. You know, like, somebody's coming home. Who's it going to be? You know, it's not all banners and parades and you know, cool stories and stuff like that. There's some killing that happens. You know, and that's the name of the game. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why someone like, you know, I think you see a lot of people that have been in combat are some of the biggest people that push peace.
Yeah.
Because they're like, dude, you don't want to do that. Like, me seeing the war in Ukraine and the thousands and thousands of people that are getting killed there weekly, it's like, dude, that needs to stop, just for the mere fact that the body count, like, that's so many lives wasted for nothing, you know? And it's like, that's what kills me about it. Yeah, you could say whatever about Russia, Ukraine, whatever. At the end of the day, all these fucking young men are dying for fucking nothing. Yep. And it's crazy that we're just people are so nonchalant about it, want to like encourage it to keep it going and stuff. And it's like, dude, you've never played the game if you're fucking, you know, trying to keep that kind of thing going and you're not over there in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know, yeah. Like, how about you get over there and fucking do something then? You know what I mean? Like, if you really wanted to keep going, you see how it is for yourself. Go ahead and get over there, get your boots on the ground, and fucking go see, you know?
Yeah, man. Go be one of those dude, the drone videos and stuff that come out. Dude, are you not happy that you weren't in when it was all drones coming in at you?
Dude, fuck that, man. Fuck all that. The horror of fighting trench to trench, like it's fucking World War I. Mm-hmm. But then you fucking intertwine the damn technology of today. Like, how fucking terrifying is that, dude? Imagine you think you're good. You're in a trench. You're like, okay, that was a fucking rough firefight. I'm in this trench. I'm good. Oh, what the fuck, dude? Oh, fuck. It's the drones. They're fucking here, you know? Mm-hmm. Fuck all that. Fuck all that shit, dude.
Imagine the PTSD for the rest of your life. You're going to, anytime you hear a drone.
Yeah. Yeah,
that's going to set you off. And that's just going to become more and more common, hearing drones.
Yeah. That's all, you know, it's all you hear about anymore is drones.
That's going to be like the new firework. You know, veterans come back and they don't like seeing fireworks. Now they're going to come back and be like, oh shit, the drone show.
Yeah, no shit, man.
Fucking,
oh, hell with that.
Yeah, dude.
Hell with that
I am so glad I was out before any of that was happening because I would hate to be not only taken out by some little drone, by some nerd like 100 miles away or whatever, fucking smoking cigarettes and just looking at a screen.
Yeah, man.
But I don't want my death to be in 4K and then uploaded for casual consumption on social media.
Yeah, man. Like it's,
you know,
the softening of everything that's so terrible brought on by fucking, you know, voyeurism. It's because it's just so easily accessible. You know, it desensitizes. You know, you don't look at these. You don't look at these soldiers as human beings. They're more like fucking like stick figures or some shit, man. They're toys. You know, is what it is. And
it's crazy when I see people like laugh about it and stuff. They're like, "Oh, look how he like fell before that drone hit him." You know, like, ha. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about right now, dude?
Yeah, how fucking twisted, man. You know, like
and I talked about it with Michael Pack at the few episodes ago or a couple episodes ago, and I was like, you know, we can't really say anything because we started this. We started this with like the Switchblade drones, which were something that SOCOM started using, and which were little one-way, you know, it's a little AKA suicide drone or whatever you want to call it, and you fly it to your target and hit it, and then it moved from that to now they're all using these quadcopter style drones. This wasn't a quadcopter; it was like a little plane kind of deal with essentially a 40 millimeter grenade on the front, if I remember correctly. And yeah, dude, I don't know. It's crazy to like hear people talk about it so casually, though.
Yeah.
And again, I think someone like you know, all these people that have been in combat understand what it really entails when you're saying we should send more troops, we should do this, we should do that, and it's like, you may not know what you're actually saying and asking other people to do on your behalf. It's very easy to tell someone to go fight a war when you're sitting on the couch and you're not involved.
Yeah, when you're armchairing the shit, you know. Yeah. No, I mean, because you know, it sucks, man. It's a loss. It's fucking heartbreaking. It's loss. You know.
On your deployment, did you guys lose anybody on that deployment?
We did. As a matter of fact, I think it was. I don't even think we were there for 3 weeks before we lost we took our first KIA. Brandon Van Perry's is his name. I believe he was. What was his name? You cut out for a second there. Oh, Brandon Van Perry's.
Okay.
And I was actually in boot camp with him, and we trained body hardening together. We were paired up to kick the shit out of each other's legs, and forearms and all that shit.
Body hardening was the worst,
dude. Yeah. But I'll never forget that, man. And I remember I heard about that shit, and that's whenever it became very real, you know.
Oh, for sure.
I was like, fuck, that this is what it is, and this is what it does, you know.
Was this before or after you guys had taken out those IED emplacers?
That it may have been Shit, it may have been around the same time. Actually, it may have been maybe a week, maybe a week after he had gotten killed. I think is when about the time when we found those dudes.
That makes that even better.
Yeah.
Because
I want to say,
you feel like you got some retribution. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to say that's when it happened. I could be, the details get kind of hazy after almost 20 years, but it wasn't far apart either before or after. But yeah, man, that was an eye opener. That really solidified it. You know, that's the shit's it's real. It's very fucking real. And it wasn't long after that, man, that we lost a captain. Captain Siebert was his name. I think it was an IED in a Humvee or a mortar round. I can't remember which. It was an explosion of some kind that killed him. But those two KIAs, man, from our unit, it was early on, and we were like, "Fuck, dude, is it? You know, we still have like 6 more damn months of this shit, and you know how much more? When's it gonna happen to one of our guys in the platoon? You know?"
Yeah.
And it did. Unfortunately, it did. You know, it was February, so we actually made a push through Ramadi in late February. It was actually on the heels of that battle back in 2006, and they tasked us with clearing out a sector of the city, and I can't remember now what part of the city it was. But it was a legit, door to door, kick in doors, try to find the bad guys and fucking fight them. It was free fire. Anybody that was military age, if they had a weapon in their hand, take them out. That's how free it was at that time. And I remember we inserted by trucks overnight, and we had to clear a fucking wall. We had like ladders and shit that we used for just this one wall, and then we ditched the shit. We were like, hey, we ain't using that shit. And I remember of course it's at night, it's dark, can't see shit. MVGs, they can only give you so much. And I remember we cleared the first building that our platoon had hit, and we kind of spread out. And I remember I was standing there, and I looked down. I'm standing on top of this big fucking dark spot, and I'm like, what the fuck is that? And I took my nods off, and I looked down, and it was blood, and it had drag marks like going away from it, and with little fucking, it almost looked like 9mm shell casings, a few of them kind of scattered around it. I was like, oh shit, I'm standing on this shit. I'm like, oh fuck. It's like, all right, this might be fucking bad.
Yeah.
That was the introduction to Ramadi, but fortunately, man, it was a week long operation. I think what took so long was we were finding IEDs. Like, it was IED after IED after IED after IED. It was fucking crazy, dude. We get to the end of the op, man, and I think we had one resupply. I think that's all we were able to get for whatever. I think probably because the IEDs were so fucking bad. But we had a gunny train come through one night. You kind of throw the MRE boxes out and the bottle of water and shit like that. But at the end of the hop, man, I'd run out of water. I didn't have any fucking water left. And I remember we were sitting there waiting for the rest of the company to pull up online. And I'm like, fuck, dude, I'm so fucking thirsty. So fuck it. There's a dude that came out. We were in the backyard, and I'm sitting on this fucking chair. And this fucking dude comes out of the house. I guess the man of the house. He comes out and he has a fucking tray of like chai glasses with water, and it's just like little shot glasses. And I'm like, oh, dude, fuck. Okay, it's cold. The glass feels cold. That feels good to me, Yeah. The water's cloudy as fuck, but I don't give a shit. I'm thirsty, so I fucking shot it. And I was like, that actually fucking tasted really good, man. And I don't know how many guys drink the water, man, but we get done with this fucking hop, dude. We go back to I believe there was a camp right outside of it. Small fucking shitty ass, like a shantytown fucking camp. It had a bunch of damn broken down like Humvees and vehicles and shit, and it was muddy and fucking cold, and we had to sleep out in that shit. But I remember I woke up that morning, dude, and I had this fucking surging like heartburn and reflux and shit. Like it was it was almost like I was puking, but I wasn't. It was so fucking backed up. I was like, oh, dude, I feel like shit.
He actually just poisoned you guys.
Right, yeah. And, dude, we all get up and we have like stubbles and shit like that because we couldn't really shave. You know, we didn't have any fucking water, like razors or anything on us. And I remember just looking at everybody, and everybody just had that fucking, just kill me. Please just fucking kill me now. Like, look, you know. There were dudes puking and shit. And, like, luckily, I didn't throw up, but I had the shits, dude. It was the worst.
He took out a whole squad with a tray of water.
Shot glasses, man, yeah. I was like, man, damn, dude, this is fucking terrible. But
yeah, you can't have that. You can only have hot chai if you're going to drink their stuff.
Oh,
it has to be a hot drink that's been boiled for sure.
Yeah. This dude gave us straight up fucking water. He's like, I bet these guys will drink this shit. They did.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, man, but we went back to Camp Habbaniyah. We trucked there, and we're like, well, before we get on the trucks, we're in formation inside this little fucking compound. And First Sergeant Bates at the time, I think he was the one addressing us, man, and telling us what we were going to do. And one of the Marines steps out and he goes, fucking throws up during this brief, and then he just didn't say anything because he knew everybody felt like shit. So he's like, all right, man, we'll just get on the trucks and we'll get back to Camp Hob. We can all, rest and recover, get rid of this bullshit. And, Doc will stick you with IVs if they have, if you need them. That's kind of how it was, man. We got back. I think we were there for 3 days, and that's when he pushed back out. But man, yeah, I spent maybe 36 hours, dude. Like, I think it was it was 36 hours. I kept track of this shit. 36 hours getting up out of the rack, running to the fucking shitter, and just like, all it was fucking yellow water. Like, it was.
You don't have to describe it.
It was terrible, man. It was terrible.
It'll mess you up. Dysentery, dude.
Yeah, man. But like, I missed my buddy's, my fire team leader. I missed his pinning to corporal because I was so fucking sick. I wouldn't have been able to stand in formation, dude. But I went running by it. They were in formation, and my ass went hauling ass to the shitter, and they're all standing there. I'm like, oh, sorry, congratulations.
We had a lieutenant in 2013 on my advisor team. So when we're on the advisor team, obviously we're sharing meals with our Afghan partners pretty regularly. So,
armpit
pretty regularly.
Bread, foot bread.
Foot bread. Yeah, we called it foot bread. Dude, it was so good, though.
Yeah.
It's so good. Like, their bread and rice and French fries. They made French fries that were better than any French fries. Some pretty high quality French fries.
No shit.
Yeah, I was shocked. I'm talking about out in the middle of nowhere at some patrol base. They knew we were coming, so they would like try to make us a special meal.
Yeah.
So it'd be like rice, some kind of meat. Never asked what the meat was. Foot bread, and then the bread, and then chai, and then sometimes if it was a special occasion, they would bring out the French fries.
Yeah.
And dude, we loved it because we were starving.
Yeah.
We were all like, we weren't getting enough hot. The normal food we were getting was like a ladle of food.
Right.
From the hot trays. And so we were like, hell yeah, they're breaking out lunch. Like, hell yeah, we get to eat. And we would just pig out. But one of our lieutenants, something he ate, his stomach couldn't handle it. And he was the same way. We had to IV him. Like, we thought for a minute they were going to have to medevac him because he was becoming so dehydrated from his issues that he was having.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, you gotta be careful with that stuff. But when you're in a situation like that where you haven't had water, I've talked to other 3-6 guys that were in the Marja push, and they had the same kind of deal where they had a inability to get resupplied or whatever, and they were out of water. And some of these guys were drinking water out of the wadis because they were like, dude, I'm so out of, like, I'm thirsty, like I'm dying here.
Yeah, man.
And it's kind of a desperation move,
Yeah. Yeah. Gosh, dude. That's the worst thing, man. If you're dehydrated, your body's going to want to take that in as fast as possible, too. It just gets into your...
Wadi water?
Yeah, some wadi water.
There's a cow being bathed up the river from it?
Yeah. There's a strange tint to this water, man. Ugh.
Dude, I've seen everything from animals to people bathing and using the bathroom in some of the rivers and the wadis, and I'm like, no, because people like swim in them. I'm like,
no,
that's probably not healthy.
No, not at all, man.
Yeah, so as the deployment goes on, guys are getting killed. the stress of just being there just is what it is. Could you, when you got towards the end of the deployment, was it like a feeling like, let's just get the fuck out of here? You know, was it kind of like that, or were you guys feeling, how was morale towards the end?
Yeah. So I guess I can go to when we lost Rosa, Angel Rosa is his name. When we went north of the Euphrates, it was a place called Abu Bali, and it was. I mentioned it before. There hadn't been American presence there since the invasion, and that's where we were taking a lot of the contact from, like the drive-bys and pot shots from snipers. There was boats, like wooden boats, that were pulling up to the banks, and we would find them there. Mm-hmm. We would destroy them, like blow them up with grenades or some shit. But it was enough of a problem to where our command wanted us to go into that area and disrupt, whatever was going on up that way. And since there'd been no American presence, man, they didn't, they essentially they didn't like us. They were sympathetic towards Al Qaeda, and I think we felt it right away. But it was cool. We got to actually do a legit amphibious operation. We inserted by boat overnight. I don't know if it was the Marine Corps or Navy. It wasn't like a big, super big boat. It was kind of, I guess, if you want to say a medium-sized boat. But I wish I knew.
Was it like a boat, or a landing craft?
It was enough to fit. It was enough to fit like I think maybe a squad of Marines. So you could probably fit like maybe 15 Marines on there.
There was a lot of riverine ops happening around in Iraq.
Yeah,
people may not realize that. Boat teams from both like SWIC or I think those kind of guys, but there was also Marines that they trained, and they're like, hey, you're going to run patrols up and down the river on these boats,
Yeah, if I had to say, if just for remembering, or just for argument's sake, I'd probably say probably Riverines that did that for us. But yeah, man, we again at night we were going across the Euphrates, and we were inserting I believe it was just our company that ran this operation, but it took a while to get us up there, because we would disembark, and then we would line up, get online and wait for the rest of the company to get up there and set down security, get online. As soon as the whole company was there, it was essentially pushing north, through that area, finding whatever we could, weapons caches, however it's pronounced. I don't know how it's pronounced differently. It seems like every time I hear it, but which we found a lot of weapons, man, a lot of weapons system, like the IED, making material like wires, fucking phones. We even found like weapons with like bayonets attached to them and shit. Like they were wanting to get close, I guess. But
like the old SKS where they're like built in, or that was the SKS, right? That has the bayonet built in.
I think
flips up.
Yeah, it would flip. Yeah, it was long. It was like a long fucking. It almost looked like almost like a sword, like a needle. It was really thin. But yeah, a whole bunch of that was found. But it didn't take long for us to figure out that we weren't liked, and it was a very eerie feeling. If I had to equate it to, I guess another war, maybe Vietnam, because there was a lot of vegetation. It wasn't the, I guess, the typical imagery that somebody who's ignorant to it would conjure up in their mind, like, oh, it's desert,
Yeah, you think sand dunes and
yeah, not at all, man. Yeah. I mean, it was farmlands, and there was orchards and shit like that.
Huge palm groves right there off the Euphrates is all green.
Oh man, yeah, it was because it was very, very lush, man. And a lot of good places to hide shit, and that's where we found a lot of shit, man. Was all in the reed lines, vegetation, the places that had a lot of trees and shit.
Did you face any resistance when you were finding these, weapon stores?
Yeah, there was. So, I guess I can get into. I guess I can get into whenever our platoon actually got hit, but there was other instances of guys from other platoons that were, getting wounded, shrapnel from blasts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think that's where our unit, our company, caught the majority of the, it's where a lot of the Purple Hearts came from. In this unknown area, it's unknown. It really is. It's unknown. I think it's still unknown to this day. But I mean, you can look it up on like Wikipedia or something like that and see. It was Operation Northern Forge is what the name of it was.
Okay.
In Al Bubali. It might have like a paragraph about it, but yeah, man. There was one time where we were on patrol, our squad, through this area. And I remember it was across. We were on one side of a little wadi, like one of the wadis, like an irrigation ditch, and there was this mom and this kid that were out there. Kind of, she was doing her wifely out in the farm kind of thing. And the kid was sitting there, or he was standing next to her. And I remember the little fucker looks right at me. He looks right at me and he goes like this with his fucking hand. And I'm like, dude, you little shit, man.
You little punk.
Yeah. And like, I raised my weapon a little bit, like in his direction. I didn't point it at him, but I raised it up enough to where his mom was like, oh, fuck. So she slapped him in the head. And he went,
idiot.
Yeah, slapped him in the head and told him to get inside. But that kind of, it just solidified the fact and the feeling that they didn't like us there, man. And the entire time, because it was so, I think because it was open, but there was a lot of good hiding spots, vegetation and shit.
Yeah.
I think for that, man, it's just because of that and the feeling, the overall just feeling there, the sentiment, man, and the looks and shit that we got, man. You just had that feeling of like the hairs on the back of your neck just standing up all the fucking time,
Yeah, I mean, they know the area. They know where.
Yeah, exactly, man. And
we're at the disadvantage for that. For sure.
Big time. We are definitely the visitors on this one. And yeah, man. That was one instance where it was okay. We're not liked here. So just be ready for anything at any time. And then we were at this this house. I think it was 2 stories, but for whatever reason, your memory works. It seemed really tall, but it was just these 2 houses that were kind of next to each other, of course, separated by a courtyard wall because they were 2 different properties. And at this other house, there was like kids and shit. There was a lot of people. I remember there being a lot of people over there, kids and some adults. I remember we were pulling down from this house to go move to the next one. And as soon as 2 of our squads got out, because we were there as a platoon, 2 of our squads had gotten out and patrolled to the next place we were going. And I remember, I can't remember if we were the first or second, but I remember being at the building that we were going to next, and I hear a couple of explosions. And what happened, man, was next door, in the middle of the kids and people, there was bad dudes there, and they were watching us. So what they did was they threw grenades up on the rooftop where there was a couple of Marines up there holding, providing overwatch, and then they threw some in the courtyard below because they knew there were some Marines that would hang out there when kind of resting or whatever. Well, luckily there was nobody in the courtyard, but on the rooftop, my buddy Ben, he actually caught a piece of shrapnel right above his ballistics. It caught him in the eyebrow. It was nothing, too crazy, nothing really serious. So Doc came over and he was able to pluck it out, but they couldn't engage, man, because it was so quick. I'm pretty sure these motherfuckers did like this and threw the shit and then just blended in with them, Like we knew where it came from. It's very obvious. It's these assholes here next door, but we didn't see who fucking threw them. That's just how that one was being fought, They blended in. They were very fucking sneaky about it. They were always watching us. And so that kind of shit was going on, man. So we were already, we were on edge. And this is, let me see, I want to say we'd been there for almost, I think this is day 8 or 9 on this push. Where, So it was the night of the 12th, March the 12th. I remember we were pushing through this wadi. Our squad was, and we were wrapping up a patrol, coming back to the Go Firm house, and we get back and we kind of rest up a little bit, and I can't remember if there was any more patrols going out at that time, but the next day, my fire team, we go up to the rooftop to provide overwatch, and Rosa, the squad that he's in, they're in the chute at the bottom, and I could see them standing down there getting ready to take off on patrol, and they're about to take off, and our platoon, Staff Sergeant Fowler, he comes out, and he's like, Rose, you forgetting something? And he forgot his ballistics, and that was so unlike him, dude. Like, he doesn't forget anything. Like, never forgot shit. Like, nothing. He was shit hot like that. And me and him, we always joked. We had a little inside joke, and it was just like one word. It was just good. That's what we did back and forth to each other, kind of devil dogging each other just because it was funny. And I remember whenever I overheard that and I saw it, and he was going back inside to go get his ballistics, and I was like, oh, good, Rosa, good. And he looks up at me, he's like, man, you asshole. And he comes back out, and I see them take off, and they patrol, out of sight past all, like, the reed lines and shit. And that's when relief came up for us. And I remember I got down, and I just took off my blouse, and I went to the room that we were billeted in, that our squad was billeted in. I was like, something just doesn't feel right, man. I mean, this whole fucking operation didn't have a good feeling, but something really just feels off. Something told me, man, just take your flat Kevlar on your weapon to the stairwell, where I came from the rooftop, just sit there, and get an MRE. And I go, I'm saying, fuck it, I'll eat my MRE on the stairs. I just don't have a good feeling. And no sooner after I open the MRE is when I hear the fucking ambush. I think he walked in the wadi that we were in the night before.
Yeah.
And there was a pressure plate in there. It wasn't either we got lucky and missed it, or the assholes that put it there figured we'd use that same area,
Yeah, they backfilled it on you.
Yeah, maybe use the same route, hope to get lucky. And there was a pressure plate in there, and I don't know if it was initiated by like mortars or what, but I heard explosions. That's before I heard any kind of gunfire. I heard explosions, like boom, boom, boom. I was like, oh shit. And I fucking high-ported up the fucking stairs as I'm going up the stairs. Sergeant Ammons at the time, he was coming down saying, hey, we need some Marines up on the rooftop. Stoli squad had just taken contact, and we get up there, and I can't see shit. I'm scanning my sectors and all that, but they're so far out, and behind all that vegetation, I can only hear it. So what happened, man, is at that point in the war, I think that the bad dudes, fucking, they watched us long enough to where they could actually pick up on our tactics. And what we used and what was effective, that they actually caught this squad in an L-shaped ambush, so they were fucking getting it, man. It was bad, and this is after the IED, so they're duking it out, and I'm up on the roof. By this time, there's maybe a squad size element on the rooftop, kind of looking out every which way. And I just remember hearing the radio traffic, going from Maine to the CO. He was out there, and I believe it was our radio operator on the rooftop that was next to us. So it's going back and forth between those three, and I remember we were listening to the zap codes, Lima Romeo, last four, and I'm like, fuck, dude, an R, an R, so it's an R name. Who was it? It's like, fuck, it was Rosa. So we knew that he'd gotten hit. And I remember hearing, a little later, it seemed like an eternity, man. It could have only been maybe 10 minutes long, all this shit unfolded. But I remember hearing Maine saying something to the effect of, well, do what you can to find the casualty's leg. And we're like, fuck, dude, that's, his life is just changed forever, And, some time goes by and, the firefight stops. And I stay up there until I can see them come back. As they're patrolling back in, they get closer and closer, and you can just tell, man, that they'd been through some shit. And that's whenever I'm able to see, I think there was like 3 Marines and Doc were covered in blood, from helping them out. And they were, I believe, 3 Marines short. Rosa, of course, went to TQ Surgical, and 2 other Marines, Thorne and Morrison, they'd been knocked unconscious by the blast. And, when they come in, I pull down and the rest of the fire team pulls down, and, we're relieved. And I get down there, man, and, I'm like, fuck, man, I can't say anything, The only thing I can do is just be present, And I go into their billeted room, and everybody just kind of like slumped against the wall and sitting there, just kind of staring, into nothing. And, I remember hearing Doc. I think it was Doc, as a matter of fact. I think he said, what the fuck are we doing here? It was just that kind of like, what the fuck for, and then maybe a few hours later, our platoon commander, Lieutenant Jones, he, super fucking awesome fucking guy, great officer, man. He comes around to each and every Marine individually and informs us that Rosa had died, at TQ Surgical, and he would look you in the eye and be like, "Are you okay? How are you feeling? Are you okay?" And man, you could hear a fucking pin drop. It's the only time I've ever heard a platoon of Marines inside such a confined space, just be so quiet.
Mm-hmm.
I'll never forget that. That's it went silent, but that's when you started hearing like the sniffles and the crying. We just, we lost one of our brothers, and, yeah, man, that was new, and it sucks, man. It sucks because, obviously he's not here anymore, but we were close to leaving that area. We were about wrapped up with that operation, and, yeah, that was on the 13th. That was March 13th, man. And we were back. I think we were back on St. Patrick's Day, Camp Hobb.
Mm.
And yeah, man, it sucked, man. So we were there for about 12 days, and that was the 12 days that had the most impact on me. I'm sure everybody else feels the same way. But that was the worst day of my life as a Marine, and
yeah,
the hardest 12 days I ever had as a Marine in a little known operation.
Completely understandable. Completely understandable. You lose a guy, like, immediately people are going to start wondering, like, what are we doing? This obviously isn't worth this guy, my best friend, my good friend, like. Yeah, man. Yeah. And then, we, of course, we get back and it was just heavy. It was just heavy being there, and higher ups, they tried to, I guess they God love them. I think they tried to boost the morale a little bit. It's St. Patrick's Day. They're like, yeah, go ahead. You guys can jump in your jungles, green for St. Patrick's Day. Something like that. But yeah, we're like, yeah, all right. Thanks,
I mean,
First Sergeant.
I did it, and I was like, fuck, dude, it's no, this don't help at all, dude. You know, but it's, you know.
I thought you were going to say they gave you a couple beers on St. Patrick's Day.
Right, yeah. But
never would happen.
Yeah, yeah, man. You know, that was rough, man. That was the hardest, and that's the thing to this day, man. That, you know, and I had to figure it out. I was like, damn, why, you know, what was it that was so heavy? It wasn't anything that I experienced as far as like being in danger. I've seen, you know, decomposing human beings, smelled them, flies that swarmed them. I've had them bounce off my damn, you know, off my arm and shit. And, you know, I've almost been shot. I don't know how many times we stepped over IEDs, but none of those things are a second thought, man. Like, you know, at all. It's always the guys that didn't come home. That's
For sure.
That's the thing. And I think they attribute, you know, that to it's like survivor guilt is like one of the least talked about things when it comes to what post traumatic stress or. And I'm like, I don't feel like I have that, you know, but the guilt for sure. You know, it's damn. Some guys didn't come home, and, you know, I don't have a scratch on me. But at the same time, I know that these guys wouldn't want any of us to be sad and depressed and just sulk all the time, man. They would, you know, they would want us to live well, and that's what I'm doing now, man. I'm doing whatever I can to live a life that they would approve of, that they would be proud of, you know.
Yeah.
You know, it's for them. And any other way, you know, besides that, living that way, I think would just be selfish, man.
That's a good way to put it, man. I mean, and I think a lot of people come back with, you hope that people come back and if they've had a situation like that where they've lost somebody, that's what they do. Where you remind yourself, you know, rather than sitting here and being upset about it, like, do today for that guy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And, like, make it as good as possible. Do the best. I had a guy on, Rodriguez is his name. He was an Army guy. He was in the, what is the battle name? He was the one that Jake Tapper wrote about, the Outpost. He was in that battle. And one of him and another guy that he was there with were talking about, I think it was the other guy told him that he should play football when he got out of the Army or something like that. And that dude was killed in the battle. So after he got out of the Army, he like trained and sent tapes out to everyone and ended up walking on to like Clemson and ended up getting to play and like ended up getting drafted in the NFL, I'm pretty sure, for a little bit.
Damn, yeah.
And now he's an actor doing war movies. And I'm like, and that's kind of what he was talking about. Like, you know, I felt it was like my duty to honor them by living the best life I possibly could.
Yeah.
You know,
for sure.
And, you know, not waste it. And I really don't think it should take one of your friends getting killed for someone to get that kind of mentality.
Yeah. No, same here.
I think you got to have that anyways.
Yeah.
You know, I think you got to put that kind of perspective out there where, what am I going to do with today? Mm-hmm. You know, today's an important day. It's the only day of my life that I'm going to get this day.
Yeah.
What can I do with this singular day? And then make the most of it. Yeah, I hate it when guys come back from stuff like that and they sulk, and I get it. And it's sad, but like you said, man, your dudes don't want you to live like that. Yeah. They want you to fucking, you know, seize the day. And it's tough. I mean, I'm speaking from ignorance because it's not an issue I'm going through. I know guys that have been killed. I was never there when they were killed, but I've always thought, like you said, you know, like the best way you can honor them is to remember their name, say their name, and then just do what you can to be a good person and a good American and a good, you know, make the most of your life, make the most of your day.
Yeah.
It's like that scene at the end of Saving Private Ryan, where he's like, "Did I live a good life? You know, did I earn this?" kind of deal.
Yeah, yeah, yep.
You know,
yeah. Did I earn it? Yeah, yep.
I think you're doing good stuff, man, and I think this is a good spot to wrap it up. Hopefully somebody takes some stuff from that. Maybe make tomorrow a little bit better than today. Take that next step. So,
For sure.
like I said, I think you're doing great stuff. You got the podcast, you got everything else going on. Where can people find you?
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's all just anywhere like Facebook, Instagram mainly. It's just my name. There's no like spaces or capital letters. It's just NealFauver. That's the handle for both of them things. That's where I'm going to be found if anybody's looking. And if I could, man, could I shout out Beyond the Call? So,
yeah, go ahead. Yeah, dude, for sure.
Yeah, so this is them right here. It's Tracy Hunter, good friend, and she. I'm pretty sure Mike's told you about her. She runs the nonprofit. This year they're getting funds together to get some World War II veterans out to Pearl Harbor, and that's what it centers around, getting World War II veterans out to like battlefields, museums, different events, just getting those guys out and about. I think, man, because she's saying that one of the biggest problems is isolation. A lot of them, their spouses, predeceased them, and they're kind of isolated and lonely, kind of feel like they have no purpose. But whenever she can, man, she finds these guys and girls, and tells them, hey, we got this going on. If you'd like to do this, we'd love to have you. If not, I'd like to stay in contact with you and befriend you. So she's amazing with what she does there. And Scotty Gibson, he's also affiliated. Great guy. He played Captain Haldane in the Pacific. He's affiliated with Beyond the Call as well. Great guy, man, and he's all about with the veterans as well and their community. World War II, Beyond the Call. If you have a dollar, it all goes. Tracy doesn't get a cent. It all goes towards veterans and getting them to these events and helping them feel the love and admiration and respect that they very, very much deserve. These guys and girls, man, they save the world. So
for sure,
yeah, man.
And everything I've heard from you guys and what I've seen, it sounds like that's a great organization. Because sometimes there's organizations out there that sound good, but they end up being kind of shady. Yeah. But this one sounds legitimate. Yeah. I mean, I know you guys did a trip out to Pelu and stuff like that, and worked on a documentary. Yeah. Like, what a great opportunity, there. Like, sounds like they're doing awesome stuff over there.
Yeah, just amazing. I don't know if I just from Peleliu, I have to, because it's a piece of shrapnel from 80 years ago, 80 plus years ago. I just kicked it with my boot, man. I was just walking outside of the Japanese admin building, I believe, and it was just there, like just above the surface. I thought it was like it may have been a tree limb or something, but I'm like, there's no trees like near here, the spot. So I just started kicking. I was like, oh, it's heavy and it's moving. So I just kept kicking it, and that thing came out. I was like, damn, it's shrapnel.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah. And man, it was a good time out there. It was pretty heavy, but
always is when you're visiting a battlefield.
Yeah, man, you go and visit those places. You wonder how they did it, man. It's just crazy.
You know what was in that kind of like spirit, I guess, I went to, in the summer of 2019, I did a cross-country road trip, and part of that I stopped and saw where the Battle of Little Bighorn was, Custer's Last Stand.
Oh, yeah.
And it was really interesting to actually see the terrain and how the Native Americans like move through the hills to move without being seen. And yeah, it was really, when you actually get to go see a battlefield like in person, it's so much different, because you can read a book and obviously, but when you can like see it and you can see the terrain and it's not just described, you can actually see what they're talking about. It's like, oh man,
yeah,
it becomes way more like, wow, I can't believe they did that, or whatever.
Yeah, man, and you can't. It's hard to describe. You can imagine it all you want, man, but to see it, with your own eyes, man, to actually feel it, literally feel it, it's there's nothing like it. It's powerful.
Yeah.
It's
That's
powerful.
crazy though. Well, that's good, man. Yeah, people check that out. Check out my stuff, Former Action Guys, Former Action News on Instagram. My website is jkramergraphics.com. And that's it, dude. I really appreciate you coming on today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it, brother. You're doing great things
for
here,
sure.
man. Doing great things.
Thank
I love
you.
it. I love it.